So we've made it to Khonkho Wakane, not too far from Tiwanaku, it's actually probably about 30 or 40 miles, but we took an hour and a half to get here along a dirt track. Behind me you can see some of the stones. We're up on a hill, it's been snowing heavily, it's 4th of July, and this site is probably linked to Tiwanaku. It could even be earlier than Tiwanaku. And Antonio Portugal and Brian Forrester and Irene are here, and we're going to look at some of these stones because some of them are precision carved. Some have very interesting serpent and other iconography on it. And this is a really interesting, obscure site that it's going to be impossible to put this on any tour because of the dirt roads and the mud and the difficulty in finding it. But we're going to have a good look around here. We're going to spend about an hour here examining all the stones, taking GPS readings to see if there's any connections with Tiwanaku or even earlier cultures here around Lake Titicaca in Bolivia. Pumas down the bottom, and we've got two sort of puma heads coming together, and we've got human figurines here. It's kind of like similar to some of the statues and carvings at Tiwanaku, but it's a serpent going down the side which intrigues me. This is very similar to what we find on some of the more rough-hewn statues at Tiwanaku. Red sandstone, probably magnetic. You can just see down the side here. This is not like on the back of it really, but the front's worn out. You can see like the braids in the hair. There's 8 of them, I think, similar to the statues at Tiwanaku. Very, very interesting. So we're going to check out some of the other megaliths on the site as well. So Antonio was just telling us that this was found recumbent, that's why the front of it's worn off. But this whole hill here, all these stones and these walls, was once a step pyramid, similar to what we find obviously at Tiwanaku with the Akapana pyramid, even at Puma Punku. So we're going to take a look, see if we can find any comparisons to Tiwanaku, to Puma Punku, and any other sites around Lake Titicaca. Here we have another monolith that's obviously been broken. This looks like the top half of it with serpents and strange imagery. You can kind of see the nose there, and the eyes, and the top of the head. Looks like it's got a very long head. Strange braids going sideways. Got the arm coming up like that. And you have these arms here. This is very odd. So we have the arms on the stomach and the heart. Very long head with the serpent coming out of the eye.
Looking up to the snakes with the head of puma, but those heads are anthropomorphical, so human heads with ears of the puma and then the serpent. So this is just one part of the monument. The other side is laying down in the other side.
So again, we have serpents coming right down the side here, almost like arms. It joins up there on the broken part along the edge of that.
Got the hands like that, holding a baby puma, a human baby puma. The meanings we have to find out for the future also, because jealously this human person is taking care of the baby puma human in this part of the figure. In this side, you can see a human body completely, the head with the tails, the arms and the body and their foot, pointing down, because this part used to be in the top of this other monument. So this is very important to find out. Here are the eyes. And these are thunders. The mouth is very open, trying to tell something. And it's called, she must be a female, this, because it's grabbing a child with their hands.
Have they found any skeletons here?
They should be. That's why they got a museum near here. But whatever you dig around this area, you will find a lot of archaeological pieces. We have to put it together. I hope they're going to make better roads to these sites, Not just because the archaeologists in the future have to have a lot of studies about this, because we can bring a lot of tourists also to the area, and a lot of scientific people to find out what it was, this beautiful place. These were our gods in the past, you know. How can they be like this, you know? The snake in Aymara is translated to Katari. Katari. It's a very strong word also in the Aymara world.
Just in front of me is another quite large, finely cut, very weathered though, red sandstone block. It looks like it's got something chopped out of the side of it there. Just lower down the hill are the two monoliths. So this is interesting. This is a piece of andesite that looks like it's a bit out of place here. This whole place is like red sandstone. But there's a chunk of andesite here and up there, just like we find at Tiwanaku and at many other sites, like a combination really of the two types of stone primarily. So just at the very top of the hill, you can see in the distance there, the other monolith we just looked at, is someone's put together these nice stone slabs. Looks like these farmers down here have made a little fire pit on the very peak of the hill. It does look like, if you can just see the shape of it, it looks like a very large rectangular step pyramid dipping down, probably where there was some kind of pool like the Akapana pyramid had. And up here on the edge, this is like the outer edge, you can see stones all around the side of it if you look carefully. Many have been used obviously to build the local villages and farms and so forth. There's been some kind of bird massacre here. It could be a ceremonial thing. And they sort of kill the bird, sacrifice it for the fertility of the land. There are stones here. There's a very large square piece of sandstone here. It's very finely cut. To me, this feels like Pukura culture, which is the culture that was around supposedly before Tiwanaku. But is it that culture? Because it's a long way from the other sites on the other side of the lake, and the stonework is very close to some of the stuff we see at Tiwanaku, so maybe it is Tiwanaku. I'm going to go over there now, look for any artifacts on the ground, see if there's anything still here we can get some clue as to who built it. I'm seeing lots of pottery, I've seen a few bits of that strange copper-rich green stone, amongst other things here on the hill. Just behind me is another monolith we found up on the hill here, and it's just incredible. You can just see the shape of it. It's very similar to the monoliths, the statues of the tiki statues, the Bennett monolith, etc. at Tiwanaku. And so it reminds me of it in a way, this whole area, because you've got this whole area on top of the pyramid, and each four corners, which is what we find in the Kala Society temple at Tiwanaku, more or less you have these would have been upright statues of their gods, of Viracocha. And so it does resemble those at Tiwanaku. We must make note of that, and it's a very interesting site, obscure place, middle of nowhere, something that needs to be explored properly. We have another monolith here just next to the larger monolith we just looked at that looks surprisingly similar to the ones at Tiwanaku, and yeah, you can see it's cut and shaped stone, beautifully done, very badly weathered. It's obviously been lying here for years, not being kept in good condition. More carved statues here, or megaliths. This one certainly looks like it's been carved in some kind of human anthropomorphic form, very close to the ones we just looked at. So this could be the very top part of the pyramid, or second. There could be, there's two areas, or much higher up, the area over there, and this one here. Some of these are still standing, so there's some kind of row here. This seems like a square enclosure. You can see just by the shape of the stones as they go around. This is where also we park the car, or the van. And more examples of these stones are over here. So we're just right on, the road goes right through the middle, most probably of the sacred enclosure. This is the raised area. We've got more stones over here. So we have two parts of the top of the hill here with these flagstones, and the other part, the other point of the hill over there. So there's two peaks on top of this pyramid type structure. And here we have another stone marking that large square enclosure, and you can see where it lines up with this one here. So we have a whole alignment, have a whole square enclosure of megaliths marking out part of the site. And it goes all the way across here. Loads of broken stone everywhere, of course. There certainly could be broken up pieces they were using for building. And we have this one here as well. Very weathered, very ancient looking. Obviously people chilling out here, having their fizzy drinks. This could be another tiki type statue here. Some kind of weird shaped stone. We have two upright stones, two monoliths. This is a huge pyramid site. These have been fenced off probably because they've got beautiful carvings on which you can actually just see yourself. Looks like serpents and strange faces, so on all the way to the bottom. And we have other stones on the floor here, probably part of the monolith. And again, we see a few things on the side of this one. Some markings. It's a really fascinating site. I mean, we're only going to be here for less than an hour. It took us like 2 or 3 hours to get here in total, but definitely fascinating. Definitely looks like it's Tiwanaku culture or Pukura culture, maybe even earlier, because of the weathering looks extreme. So we're just going to go and check out these final stones over here. They look like they mark the edge of the enclosure way over there. So it's a huge enclosure, if it was an enclosure. Here's some more of that very green stone, the copper-rich stone. This could have been another metal or bronze or ore plant, much like Tiwanaku is proposed to be. Here's some more stones up here. There's a very small enclosure here. Almost looks like a classic grave site. It could be something else. It could have even been a technological site where they put the seeds in here to charge them up. Well, we'll just continue slightly further down the hill towards the original monolith we saw earlier. So we've sort of gone full circle. Another line of stones here on this edge of the pyramid. And more along here. It's like some kind of dip, some kind of pool in the middle of the enclosure. So whether this is just naturally formed over the years, or if this is in fact one of the ancient pools. It looks like there's brickwork here, so it could be an ancient pool like the Akapana pyramid, the pool on top of that. There's stonework around the edge of it. It's like another area, enclosure over there. The snow is kind of giving it away, enabling us to see what's going on. It's very interesting. Anyway, clearly a lot more investigation needs to be done here. We just sort of preliminary investigation, just checking it out with Brian Forrester, Ronald, our driver, Antonio, Portugal, and Irene. And yes, very, very interesting place. Do come and take a look if you can, in the middle of nowhere.